So, what is it, 6 now? 6 schools, one in BC, Canada, yesterday. Folks that identify as trans shooting kids, adults at schools. And that needs to be stated. Charlie Kirk was shot by a guy dating and or involved with a trans. And if you read a search on the internet search engines are all biased. And they say Republicans and Trump claim that trans are dangerous to society, but there's only been 5 and it's 0.01% of all school shootings. Okay. Most school shootings have been white, middle class, spoiled brat kids. We know that. But 0.05%. The school shootings that have gone on since, the last 2 years has went trans on the graph. So it's not fair to compare to all the school shootings. It has done a spike to me. And why is this happening? Why did Tyler Robinson shoot Charlie Kirk? Did Charlie Kirk challenge him to a fight? Did he call him ugly and make fun of him? No, not at all. He just debated. Said that it's not okay. And he based what he's based on the Bible. People say, well, the Bible doesn't say anything about trans. No, it doesn't. But I can tell you this. What it does is it does say this. And we'll clear that up right now. You got a clown attacking me on the internet. He's a disturbed young guy claiming to be a girl. He's got 59,000 clown followers, because anybody who would follow that is a clown. And I say that because he's attacked me. I didn't even know who he was months and months ago, and then he came out recently. He hates Christianity. All of these trans shooters and trans people have one thing in common. They hate this, they hate Christians, and they hate anybody who tells the truth. Now remember, this is coming from a party that says that they were tolerant and open-minded. Really. So I'm not tolerant, I'm not open-minded, but I don't shoot or even plan to shoot people who disagree with me. Even if somebody hurts my feelings, I don't plan on getting a weapon and taking them out. Why are trans more likely to do this? Because I nailed it. They are mental issues or it's demonic. There's no middle ground. And I know I do things. I wear a woman's clothing and stuff like this. I am not changing my sex drive. I am not trans. I will never be a woman. I don't want to be a woman. They've got too many things that to me, in my opinion, are against them. Something called a period. Abrupt, sharp, dangerous mood swings. Not all, but most. I had a roommate for 15 months here. Female, school teacher. I didn't have one problem with her at all. She got up pleasant every day. How was your sleep? Good morning. How are you? Every day I said, out of all the women I've met, I've never met somebody with your disposition ever. And she goes, I'm not moody like that. Every woman I've dated, I mean, one day you haven't seen them, you go to bed and the day before everything was fine. Then you see them next day and they look like they're ready to kill you. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Wow, what's wrong? Nothing. It's like the ocean, man. One day it's as calm and placid as a Love Boat cruise. The next day it's the North Sea. And you're hearing Valhalla rising. Oh, I'm going to die. I thank God I'm not a woman. But I thank God that a woman doesn't look like a man, at least when God created her. So what did he have here? Okay, I can't find it, but it says, "For this cause a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed." Somewhere else it says, "Male and female he created them." Male and female. I'm so sick of all this. This young generation that has the audacity, the shamelessness to tell an older generation what we shall call them and tell us that we have to lie and go against our convictions, that if you were born a boy, that I have to call you ma'am over my dead body. Why do you think that you have special privileges and control over me? You want to act like a sissy, you can act like a sissy. You have that right. But I'm not going to play into your fantasy role play game. You want to call yourself a woman when you were born a male? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to harass you. But so far to date, we've got a trans that took on me. And he's silent about the school shootings. He celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. That alone ought to tell you everything. I don't believe in shooting everybody, but I believe that if you mess with the authorities, you mess with this country, well, then you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes. You break into somebody's house, you deserve to get nailed. I'm tired of a society that celebrates lawlessness, including Jeffrey Epstein. And contrary to popular belief, people are listening to this and that and this and that. This Epstein thing is available to all of us, supposedly. I got a friend who's starting to go over it. Wikipedia started listing names in alphabetical order, though not all. Something like 6 million pages? Man, what did this guy do? 6 million pages? Bill Clinton and Hillary are in there. There's quite a few people in there. But Trump is even Wikipedia states there's nothing that ties him to ever going to the island. Nothing. I wrote a note because there's a channel, Steve James, gentleman who talks about male issues and trying to be hopeful in a world that's going crazy. He stated on a short that I watched this morning, Pam Bondi says society would collapse if all involved with Epstein were dealt with. Well, good. Let it collapse. You know, if I as a man am involved with an underage girl, the law would not hesitate to prosecute me, list me as a sex offender, and my life would be done. These grown people can do this and nothing happens. I am tired of the lies of the left. It's obvious. Pelosi never demanded. Weinstein was over there. They claimed that Cosby was involved. You got so much money, you get so bored that now you want to explore things that are just taboo. And if America doesn't do something about these clowns, then somebody could legitimately argue about a minor attraction and say, you didn't prosecute them, you can't touch me. If they got a good attorney, A good attorney could pull that off. So if you don't set a precedent, the dominoes will continue to fall. And this is a problem. Names have been thrown out there. Cardi B, Pelosi was involved or went to the island, but we don't know entirely yet. I want to say something about trans shooter. Canada, 9 people killed, 27 injured. The worst in the history of Canada. And it's a boy claiming to be a girl. I'm not even going to mention the despicable name of a YouTube artist who has no content on YouTube. He's got almost 60,000 subs. They throw money at him to rat on me. Some idiot left a comment on my channel saying, I love it when he rips on you. Basically, paraphrasing. Oh, I'm sure you do. Evil celebrates evil. This guy is evil. Wears little pantaloons and little skirts and thinks he's so cute, attracting older men that like the idea of him looking like a girl for homosexual sex. That's all it is. There's no mystery there. People find all kinds of creative ways to attract men that are gay. I remember years ago on the internet, men that are gay would pose as a woman, steal somebody's pictures, post an online portfolio, and men being the way we're wired, oh my gosh, she's hot and she messaged me. And dumb men start unzipping their pants and taking pictures of their junk and sending it. And the guy that's running the whole scam is back there going, ooh, yeah. And then you started seeing terms like, I'm not interested in pick collectors. Most people in society don't go for homosexuality. So traps or entrapment, trans is a creative way to get around that. Men can be seduced by a man who's very feminine. I know. When I was in Hong Kong, I saw ladyboys and you couldn't tell them apart. They've got breasts and they're not implants and they take hormones and stuff that alter themselves. And it's amazing the level of decadence. I mean, even me, I struggle with lust. I struggle with lust because I was exposed to it at an early age. My dad had Playboys, my grandpa had Playboys, and I remember when I brought that up to my mother, who my mother was so condemnatory towards me all my life, I said, yeah, your dad had Playboys and penthouses in the den, and my cousin, my sister, and I all stumbled and we're back there looking at tots. And in Dad, my mother's response to that in a letter was, well, you weren't supposed to get into that. Oh, really? Well, if you didn't want us to get into it, you let us roam the backyard and play in they had a den, which was I called it the tiki hut. I think that house was owned by Japanese people. Had to be. Pacific Islander. The backyard was a trip. Koi fish ponds and stuff. And they had a building that was built like something straight out of Hawaii. It was a flat roof, but it had rafters, tongue and groove, and the walls were made out of a paneling with holes in it, shaped like starfish and Buddhas and all kinds of. I'm like, and it had fishnet on the outside of it. And they had a koi pond that went underneath the wall with the pump inside, and it extended out to the yard. Had a big stone fireplace, and it looked like something straight out of Hawaii. I would give anything to have that room today. My papa looked Pacific Islander, but he was Irish. My grandpa. And he sailed on merchant ships. And he had the old glass fishing floats. He had catamarans and all kinds of nautical stuff in the yard. Seashells. He worked on old Victrola radios and tube radios. And my grandpa was, as they would say, quite the character. And we would play in that room. It was separate from the house. It was in the backyard. And we go in there and there was all kinds of stuff stored in there. We were kids. That was a place for family gatherings. And they'd bring the food out there and the music. As I got older, it just became a storage room. Kind of sad. But we kids would hide in there. And one day I was in there. I was like, whoa, what is this? TTs. We stumbled onto Papa's porn stash. It's such a dichotomy of the universe that Michael, me, lives in. From that to I became a Christian in 1985, the church is condemning masturbation. Condemning it. It's like, oh my gosh, really? You know, we're supposed to avoid sexual immorality. We're supposed to avoid this. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do this. Can't do this. Can't get drunk. I don't drink. I don't play lotto. I don't smoke marijuana. We're going to talk about that marijuana because I'm getting people getting mad at me. I don't care. It's a drug. I don't endorse it. I've had nothing but garbage when I had to deal with high school students that regularly smoke it. They were not chill, nice people. They were violent. They were awful. And they acted up on that bus in disrespect all the time. You go ahead and have your smelly addiction. I don't want nothing to do with it. And there's not one thing wrong with me saying it. You want to smoke pot? Go ahead. But I have a right to say I'm not going to date a woman who uses it medicinally or otherwise. It stinks. And all that medicinal crap is nothing but an excuse. They got it legalized as an excuse for people to go ahead and go find a doctor who's sympathetic to you and just gives you a right to smoke pot. I know that ain't going to set well with people, but I have a right to dislike drugs. Bible talks about that. Use the word for sorceries, pharmakia, where we get our word pharmacy. And drug use is on the rise in the world, in the United States. It's out of control. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. And people try to say, oh, well, alcohol and crack is worse. It's all bad. I don't weigh any of them on a scale. And I won't. But I want to know why the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi is so irritating. She needs to be thrown in a prison. That no one is above the law. Really? You know what's going on, Pelosi. You run in the circles. And none of your cronies get thrown in the brig. That is what is angering to this society. Two-tier justice, rich justice, poor justice. If I had an island with underage girls, they'd round me up right now. But the billionaires and the rich cats and the big shots, they can go and imbibe and whatever decadent pleasure they want. They can have their own little Babylon and nothing happens. And this is what angers me about Pelosi and these Democrats. Shut the hell up about injustice. Ilhan Omar, a rabid Muslim, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, racist to the core. And some clowns voted that in our country. She's a disgusting human being. AOC, Ocasio, Puerto Rican descent, blasting everything that this country stands for, but she's married to a white guy, not a Puerto Rican. Kamala Harris, married to a white guy, not a black or an India. She didn't say anything about her 50% India. She played on the color card. She couldn't put together a coherent, intellectual, articulate sentence. She was dubbed the word salad queen. And the Democrats continue to look like idiots. And the report, the Epstein report, is damning against them. Damning. And the Democrats will not ever face the truth. They like to pretend in their minds that they tell the truth, that they report the news. No, they don't. They're liars, they're cheaters, they're swindlers, they're unethical in every sense of the word. I'm so tired of them nitpicking Trump and any Republican that does anything while they strain at gnats and swallow camels, as Jesus said. The Democrats have more in common with the devil, with Lucifer, with Satan as a party than anybody else. They submit to the father of lies. They tell lies. They spin the media. They control the media. They control the public education system. I'm sick of it. And this trans thing is something that they pushed. Biden saying that parents need to let their child, you're going to let a 5-year-old tell the dad, I want to change into a girl. Sounds like daddy needs to take that little 5-year-old and apply the Board of Education to the seat of learning and say, no. When you're 18 and on your own, you pay for it. The Democrats have already proven they're not about freedom at all. They're about tyranny. They want to take away the rights of parents. They want to tax the hell out of us. They don't give us anything for our taxes. They send our money over to other countries to promote transgender studies and fund a stupid war in the Ukraine that we have no business being involved in, while they sit here at home and say, we stole the land, we stole the land. But you're meddling in an affair about stolen land. Russia claims the Ukraine has been theirs geographically, historically, and the U.S. wants to meddle in that. Compliments of the Democrat left. There is nothing good to say about the Democrats. There is nothing good to say about marijuana. There is nothing good to say about the transgender mentality. Nothing. Nothing. I'm not going to lie. There's nothing. I get on my channel and I show a feminine side with the way I dress. But I am not a girl. I'm not a woman, and I never will become one. I don't want to date a man. Men are hairy, sweaty, and gross. I've never been homophobe. I've dabbled in some experimental stuff and curiosities. So what? Sin is sin. It's all wrong. All of it. All of it. All of it. I'm not a gay person. I'm not into riding the pony or having a pony in my rumpus or my thing in somebody else's rumpus. I don't do that. I haven't done that, and I wouldn't. And I talk about issues on here. To me, it's a shame this channel doesn't blow up more than all these others. I voted for Trump because Trump, in 2006, went to the FBI and said, you need to investigate this guy. Democrats, wake up and smell the coffee. Trump knew a lot of people because of his money and his power, but he had nothing to do with the island. He had nothing to do. He told the FBI, you need to investigate this guy. Hello? The Democrats didn't call for it. Nancy Pelosi, Ocasio, Ilhan Omar, they're silent about this. Why? Because they're crooks. They're clowns. They're evil. They're of their father, the devil. And that needs to be preached from every pulpit. Anybody who votes Democrat and says they're a born-again Christian is not walking in the Holy Spirit of God. Now, let me add something before my attackers come at me. You don't walk in the Spirit of God. No, I don't. No, I don't. Nobody does. The Bible tells us there's a command. Be filled with the Spirit. Be not given into drunkenness. That includes dope, pot, crack, heroin, angel dust, PCBs, ecstasy, meth, whatever. You are not supposed to be controlled by your anger. Oh, here's a hard one for you. Your lust. You're supposed to be filled with the Spirit. You're not supposed to be under a controlled substance. You're supposed to be under the controlled Holy One, the Spirit of God. And none of us is all the time. We have that struggle called the flesh and the spirit. And a non-Christian world that laughs at this, and a transgender clown on YouTube who loves to broadcast my live and sit there going, he's a mocker. He's a fool. He denies the Almighty. And he takes pride in something he should be ashamed in. Lives with mommy, doesn't have a job. He said on a video, getting a job scares me because you're not a man. You were born a male. Now you want to be a little girl and you want somebody to take care of you and you're living in your mommy's house. I have no respect for you. I couldn't wait to get away from my parents. I didn't even wait for high school graduation. I left. Then life has been hard for me every day. But guess what? God is greater than the devil, and only by the grace of God do I stand and continue on. That's it. That's it. I have no bragging rights except one. Only one bragging right do I have. I can talk about how young looking, how strong, that's all well and good. But I have only one bragging right, that he saved Michael's soul, and that I have eternal life, and I have peace with God, and I have forgiveness of sins, and I will stand just like everybody else before God on that great day and give an account for deeds done in the body, good or bad. And guess what? A lot of preachers are going to be giving an account for deeds done in the body, good or bad. Joel Osteen's going to give an account to deeds done in the body, good and bad, who think that godliness is a means to great gain, financially screwing the pooch and robbing sheeple. Anybody that defends Osteen, Paula White, T.D. Jakes, Paul and Jan Crouch, that clown Kenneth Copeland, Benny Hinn, Joyce Myers, is a few fries short of a Happy Meal. Boom. I'm so tired of Christians defending even evangelical preachers that preach the truth being millionaires just on their books alone. I don't believe that's right. Read about the disciples. Read it. Their lives were right there, wide open. Peter screwed up. He got rebuked by Apostle Paul. But they were used by God, and they were not rich. None of them were millionaires, even by their standards back then. They suffered and bled and died and were stoned and tortured and crucified upside down. And you can read about some of that in Fox's Book of Martyrs. Now you got a clown wearing girl clothes with a little smart mouth, hides in his mommy's house somewhere, and says inflammatory things that with most people, if we were back in the 40s and somebody found out where he lived, they'd open the door and go, shut your mouth. I do not support violence. But I will say this, people running around smarting off to people who are trying to walk, trying to follow God, saying the horrible things they say against us. What does the Bible say about that? The rod for a back of a fool. A rod, that rod of correction. Watch your mouth, boy. Watch your mouth. And that's why we got kids and young people today with no respect. They're not grounded in this. And they're out there acting like buttholes because they can. If I'd have done that when I was a kid, my grandpa, both of them, my uncles, my dad would have taken a fan belt, a rubber hose, a broomstick, and would have wiped out my rear end. This young generation is not the Lord of the universe. Hate to break it to you. And there's some young people that are awake, not woke, but awake. And I would hope that that young clown gets on his channel and says, hey, one of our own shot up a school in Canada. Let's talk about this. He won't. Because he celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. So what that tells me is trans are very much like Hitler's Gestapo, SS brown shirts, They deny freedom of speech to those of us that say that that is a wrong lifestyle. So their answer to that is to shoot them, to bring violence on them. And what makes me sick is I go to work, I work my butt off, and have to work in a place that has to battle political correctness. And I've had harassment and stuff. Yesterday and the day before were actually decent. I may have some good news today. We'll see about that guy. But let me make it crystal clear. This clown on YouTube does super chats, making money, ripping me to shreds. Has he accomplished anything that proves that he's right and I'm wrong? No, not at all. But we're living in a day and age of godless clowns, and the darkness is getting greater through the land, through the world. And that's what we're seeing. The fringe lunatic minority has risen head and shoulders over us. Can't say anything about them in New York. You can be in big trouble. They call it a hate crime. What about what they're doing to us? Who came up with that nonsense? Democrats. You know, you can't offend them, but they can offend us. You see, I would say nobody should be offending anybody. But what the clown on the YouTube and other clowns that support him don't realize is our Constitution says separation of church and state. Congress shall make no laws regarding it. Congress cannot pass a law that tells you as a Christian to violate your convictions. Did you know that? Hobby Lobby went up against Barack Obama when he mandated Obamacare and said, I am not going to provide an abortion pill to my employees because I'm against abortion. And the Supreme Court upheld the owner of Hobby Lobby. They upheld the owner of a cake shop in Lakewood, Colorado, that was sued by a gay couple because he said, I'm not going to make a gay cake. It's amazing how a minority fringe wants to wag the whole dog. The immaturity, the entitlement, the butthurt because you want to do something that is shameful and you want to parade it around, rub it in our face, and we're supposed to give you a group hug for it. If we don't, we could get shot. Who's the danger here? Who's the danger? How many conservatives tried to take out Biden, Kamala, Pelosi, any of them? How many? Name them. How many people tried to kill Trump? One just narrowly grazed his ear. Proof is in the pudding, people. The Kennedys made their money bootlegging during let me say something. That mafia, that Italian mafia that rampaged the streets of Chicago and the U.S., that wasn't Republican and conservative based. They're all Democrats. The KKK, the Jim Crow laws. It's amazing when you really start studying history and stuff, and this young generation isn't even paying attention to it. But I want to know why no arrests have been made. All the stuff's coming out. No arrests. They said there's stuff implying cannibalism. Bush was involved. What the hell was going on this island? Lord of the Flies? But I said something, and I'll touch on this again. That young lady that's shown in the picture as a teen in a little slinky half shirt, whether it's Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, I don't keep track of royalty. I'm sorry. They're not important to me. They're a wasted figurehead. They need to get a job just like everybody else. And he's got his arm around her She looks pretty happy and content to me. People that are under duress or fear, it's going to show in their face. You can't fake it for the camera. And one thing I've noticed about women, young women, is they like taboo and they like to play. And then when they get older and they start to not be pretty anymore, then they suddenly have a moment. I can't believe he did that to me. Maybe I can get some money. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying Epstein and all that was right. No. But there was video showing all these teens leaving them all in Milan, getting on a Epstein jet with their Gucci bags. They didn't look like they were under duress. One thing I've learned about women, they'll paw at these high-powered people. The high-powered person will give into it. Years later, oh, he drugged me. Oh, he raped me. Oh, he did this to me. Oh, you waited 30 years to talk about it. Interesting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One thing I've become better at is reading body language. Body language is everything. People can say, I don't hate you. I don't have anything against you. Really? But every time I see in your body language, it tells a completely opposite story. I didn't used to be able to read body language until I went overseas. I can tell what a woman's thinking about me right now. I call it the nanosecond scan. Women do it all the time. They look, turn away. In that split second, they've made a decision. Right or wrong? Mostly wrong. Now I'm going to say it again, and people don't like it. I'm going to say it again. The women get on my channel and tempt and flirt and, flirt and play it up in the chat. Then they want to get on Discord or we chat or have a couple of interactions, then poof, cobwebs. Women are just susceptible to playing games with the heart. And then they complain about men cheating on them and men doing this, but they play with us and lead us on and tease and that carrot at the end of the stick. I just laugh now. I just watch. I'm just like, let's see how long this will play out before it pizzles. Our society has clearly broken down. You want somebody who's serious, you might want to find an Amish girl that's kind of interested in leaving her community, but still wants a husband, still wants to be committed to him. Because I heard that. A lot of those women, they want a man and they don't want anybody else. They want to be fully devoted to him. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong damn place. I don't think the Amish is my kind of lifestyle. There are things about it that are attractive, like the country and quiet, peaceful lifestyle, but they got their problems. They have Rungspringer and the kids go wild and, they're forced to live a certain way, but their heart doesn't change. But there's some beautiful Amish women that though they don't believe in all that strictness, they still want a man to love them and they want to cook for them. And I tell you what, that sounds very appealing to me today. Epstein is just proof that the Democrats don't care one whit about justice. Bill Gates was involved. Bill and Hillary Clinton were involved. On what level? I don't know. We know Billy has a problem with women. Paula Barbieri and all that other stuff. And he was doing stuff in Arkansas when he was governor then. 2 teens were killed. The authorities claimed they were ran over by a train. 2 teens discovered Bill Clinton's cocaine drop in the Arkansas woods. And the people running that caught him and did him in. There's videos. I think it's Mark 4 or Mark 4, Mark 5 Productions. It was Christian. They talked about the death of Vince Foster, and they clearly tagged it to Hillary Clinton. When you hear Nancy Pelosi say no one is above the law, she's a liar and she knows it. Remember when her husband claimed somebody broke into the house, and Nancy Pelosi said this is probably one of Trump's, deplorables. No, it was the family friend who lived in a bus flying BLM and gay flags, and the glass had fallen outside the house, not inside the house. I think if I was married to Nancy, I think I'd lose sexual interest real quick. And he was probably having some titillation with this weirdo in the house, and somebody got mad and threw a hammer or something. Who knows what happened in there? We'll never know. The rich are immune from our laws. They're immune from being prosecuted and jailed. I think it's interesting they threw Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, but nobody else. What the hell? She was actually a good-looking woman back in the day. What did she see in Epstein? And you start hanging around dark people, you start becoming dark. That's why I condemn this rap crap with the profanity, the N-word, and the cussing, and it's just got a demonic cadence to it. Oh, yeah, folks, hate is real. And it's funny, the people that are dishing out the most hate are the ones saying everybody hates. That's you guys. Your music. People making comments on YouTube showing their ignorance. Oh, people are afraid of brown-skinned people. I've never heard that in my life, cowboy. Nice try. No, we don't like actions. And if it just so happens that the actions that are being done by a majority of this ethnicity, Pavlov's dog, bell rings, another crime's going to take place. It's called pattern recognition, people. Pattern recognition. If society's going to collapse, all involved with Epstein, then let it happen. I saw the name Rothschild in there too. Well, they've always been corrupt as hell. Always. That's old family there, old money. That is not a family I would believe is a godly, spirit-filled, born-again group of people. And there is darkness across the land. The shadows of darkness have cast their ugly shadow across the American landscape. We vote in these buffoons. They line their wallets, pad their retirement accounts, and they protect the who's who in their little inner good old boys circle. Black, white, all liberal, corrupt to the core. Where's the arrest? Where? Again, if I or any of my viewers were involved with illicit activity with a minor, it's over for you. It should be over for them clowns as well. Woody Allen was name mentioned. Some comedians. Crazy. And yes, if you're offended at me eating on YouTube, go away. This is my channel, and I'll eat granola clusters if I want to. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Dark chocolate pieces are the best. Bare naked, folks. Get it today. No artificial flavors or colors either. fact, I think it's non-GMO. Yep. Non-GMO, gluten-free. Got cashews, cashew butter, fair trade chocolate, and pumpkin seeds. What the heck is fair trade chocolate? I'll trade you. I'll trade you a Mickey Mantle for a Babe Ruth card. Will I take time to read the whole Epstein file? Not 6 million pages. I want a list of the men and women that participated in the wickedness out there. That's what I want. Did Epstein kill himself? That's the next question. Wow, I sprayed it in my shirt. Why is it that Democrats just constantly have immunity? Stop and think about that. They never get busted for anything. I remember years ago, I was told that people in the Masonic Lodge, if they've got the Masonic symbol on their car, the police will not pull them over. Anywhere USA. And people tell me, Mike, the Bible isn't true. Really? You don't believe there's a God, but I can prove to you there's a devil. How do you have so many evil people in cahoots that nobody gets busted? Democrats are always projecting. Always. People are afraid of brown-skinned people. Yeah, that's why I went all the way to Asia to chase one. That's why I dated a black woman, a woman from Nicaragua. Give me a break. Nobody's afraid of a dang skin hue. Nobody. We all get concerned when we see a certain group of people doing certain things. And no, if they're doing that, nobody wants to be around them unless you're evil. Somebody needs to flush the toilet on Capitol Hill, and they need to get out the plunger and push, because that toilet is overflowed and we need to put the crap down the chute. And it doesn't happen. Trump has done something none of these cats from the left have ever done. He wanted the Epstein report released. Then they kept accusing him. There's nothing, even Wikipedia, which is not the conservatives' friend, said there's nothing that would implicate Trump as having been to the island. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Democrats. It's all about you clowns. Look at the stuff that goes on. P. Diddy. And all the who's who in the black community all involved with that. Oprah ever speak out against that? Michelle Obama ever say anything about that? Jasmine Crockett? Maxine Waters? Give me a break. Crickets. And P. Diddy got a slap on the wrist. People defend Michael Jackson sleeping with 12-year-old boys. Macaulay Culkin, to name one. Okay, I'm weird and I got some issues, but I don't want a 12-year-old boy in my bed. Ever. The more money you have, the more fame you have, the more privilege card you get. It's a pay-as-you-go society. If I was worth billions and I was donating to the leftists and all their evil causes, they'd protect my butt. Fact. You want to get a date with a woman? A beautiful one? Become powerful. They'll all come after you, pawing at you. But if you work hard and you're blue collar and you build, remodel your house and you live simply, forget it. Women are attracted to darkness. I don't know why that is, but I've seen in 59 years women gravitate towards darkness. I got my problems, but I try to move closer to the light. I don't like darkness. I don't even like the darkness that is within me with this constant sin. But women just gravitate towards the THUG culture, the bad boy. And then they'll whine for 30 years about the abuse they went through. Shut up. You knew what you were doing. I don't want to hear it. Don't play victim. Don't. You chose that. And watch how many women get on here. Oh my gosh, that offended me. I didn't choose that. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Did you vet that guy out before you slept with him? Let him move into your house and take over? No, you didn't. I'm sorry. I'm one of those rare men that doesn't believe that 50% of all marriages end in divorce and it's always only the man's fault. I don't buy that at all. You are telling me that women are perfect, incapable of sinning, and all the men are wrong. There's a large group of women in America that actually believe that crap. I, for one, do not. Just mathematics alone, that's not even a reality. It takes two to tango. And what I have seen in my 59 years is women are more likely to not say I'm sorry, to not acknowledge, to not hold the full length mirror in front of their face and look at their ugly self and deal with it. I met men who looked me in the eye and say, yeah, I effed up. I met one woman in my 59 years who told me she screwed up her marriage. Only one. She was blonde and beautiful. I know. She was on my bed right there with all her clothes off one night. And we didn't have sex. We came close. I said, what happened? She goes, I had a good husband. I said, what happened? She goes, I effed up. I cheated on him. Wow, you're honest. No, Mike, he was a good man. I did a lot of traveling in my job and got close with somebody at work, and we played around on motel trips on the way to doing what we had to do. I liked her. She had a boyfriend. She was unhappy with him. She rented her house to somebody here in Augusta. She lived with him, rent-free. He'd pay for her auto repairs. She'd come to work. I'd have to fuel her bus, or not fuel it, but check oil and stuff. And she'd always plant a kiss right on my lips. I said, why do you do that? You said you're not happy. Why do you say? Because I get perks, Mike. We haven't had sex at all in years. He pays for my car repairs. I said, so you're after him for what he does for you, money. Mike, don't say that. I said, I'm going to say it. You have a fascination with me, but not enough to leave all that crap behind and bed down with a man who will try his best. No, you want to play. To the women that get offended at me telling the truth on here, not my problem. I don't hate women. The problem is I love them too much. I let them run all over me. I believe them again and again and again to find out snakes and liars. They need to have a new game, not Chutes and Ladders, snakes and liars. Spin that dial. Nope, you got had by a woman. Give all your money to the bank. Start again. I love women, but come on, some of you are a mess. I know men are screwed up. I've talked about that too. I'm an equal opportunity critic, man. I criticize me just as much as I criticize everything else. And you got blowhard tranny boy out there saying hateful, nasty things, encouraging violence against anybody who disagrees with the trans lifestyle. So much for love and tolerance, huh? I don't call for a sword or a gun to trans. If you want to live in your delusion, you can do that. I'm kind of a live and let live unless you're screwing with people. Epstein Island is a systemic embarrassment of how you can live in a life of politics and stardom and girls and guys. Wow. Do you know what they're doing when the cameras are off, people? And you idolize and you pedestalize them. I'm sorry. I look at Max Lane Giswell. She was not a bad-looking woman. Not at all. Not at all. She was attractive. See if I can find it. She did not have a half shabby frame. She was decent looking when she was younger. How did she get caught in that mess? I mean, she willingly chose to be involved with Epstein. Epstein was nothing to look at. He certainly wasn't GQ, but he was powerful. He had money. Women are attracted to darkness. Jezebel was one of the most wicked women in the Bible. And there's a Jezebel spirit that rides through most women in America today. My express belief. And it's up to us men to find that before we go any further with any woman. Just sit back, and if it's there, it'll rear its ugly head. You know, another woman that was beautiful and she was a snake in the grass was Matahari. I'm not going to lie. Matahari, physically, my kind of woman. Small breasted, well put together, cute face. She was gorgeous. And she used her sensuality to warm close up to big men. And she was involved in Nazi, espionage against the Jewish people and among other things. Some of the most beautiful women were the biggest snakes out there. They have the 10 worst women in history that were powerful. Imelda Marcos was listed in there. 3,000 pairs of shoes. She was corrupt as all get out. And it is amazing. Never heard anything from Melinda Gates. until recently. Now she wants to go public. What does she know about Bill and the island? Shouldn't she be subpoenaed? Shouldn't she be held accountable? If I saw a man violate a young girl and I don't say anything, I can get in trouble for that. Especially when I worked in the education system as a school bus driver. We had to go through 2 in-services every year. And we had, every time they talked about mandatory reporter. When you work with children or adults that are at risk, or you're in a position of what is the word I'm thinking of? Influence and care with people. You are under law that you have to mandatory report. You see or hear or notice something, you follow chain of command. On the bus, I had 2 girls, Lakeside Elementary School in Duluth. That was one of my favorite routes. Those kids were so good, so different than today's 2026. 2 cute girls got on the bus. Hello. They were sweet. They were twins. And one day, the one got on, the other was crying. I mean, hair disheveled, clearly crying. I said, "Hun, what happened?" She wouldn't even stop. She went and sat down and, oh. One of the kids said, she said her daddy hit her in the face. I said, "Are you sure?" "Yes, thank you." Got to school, let the bus unload. After the kids went in, I turned on my bus, shut the door, went straight to the principal's office. Told him exactly what I had been told. Not only was it investigated, but yeah, Dad had crossed a line. These 2 girls were very, very well behaved. There were no cameras on my bus back in the 90s. But if I hadn't said anything, maybe that would have gone on. I get tired of people saying, "I don't vote, it don't do any good." Okay, then put your light underneath a frying pan and don't shine no more. You may not be able to stop all this evil wickedness, but you can stop something by your mere influence in somebody's life. We had to sit there and listen to at least a half an hour out of those in-services on if you suspect abuse, food deprivation. If they're coming on the bus pooping their pants and they're not a special needs kid, that is also a form of abuse. I ran a troubled respite home for 6 months in Ohio, and the only reason we did it 6 months is my wife, who begged me to agree to go to the interview and take this job, which I did not want to do. 6 months later, she begged me to go back to Duluth and didn't want to do it anymore. The kids respected and liked me. But we had a kid, a black kid. He had come 3 or 4 different times. And he'd wake up, you'd put him in bed, and then he'd start screaming and crying. And we'd get up, run to his room. "What's the matter? Chucky's going to get me." I didn't even know who Chucky was. And she goes, those are those movie, the Chucky doll. And I said, "Oh, I'm not even familiar with them." I said, "Why do you watch this?" "My grandma, she made me go and she locked the door with me and my brothers and make me watch the videos to babysit them." And I knew he wasn't lying. "Grandma, Grandma's raising him, not mom. Grandma don't want to deal with all these hyper rambunctious kids. First time that kid came in, he had an attitude against us. Second time, he says, man, I'm glad to see you. I said, really? I thought you hated us. No, you're pretty cool, man. He'd stick his lip out. I said, you're not bad either, young boy. And we got along. And I got stories just to tell on that, like when I took him to football practice in Akron, Ohio. That was an eye-opener. That was a real eye-opener. I haven't even begun to tell the stories of the things that run in that home for 6 months. We were a respite home, 2 kids, 3 days. It was either 2 girls, 2 boys. Some of the stuff that these kids divulged, some of the stuff that my supervisor, Dean, would read their case reports the day before we would get the kids. And you're sitting at the table listening to some of this, and you're like, a 17-year-old that repeatedly molested and raped his 3-year-old sister is going to be in my house for 3 days. Really? My then wife said, Michael, where's my Kathy Lee Gifford magazine? I said, I don't know. It was on the coffee table. Yeah, but it ain't there. I said, do you think I look at Kathy Lee? I said, I can't stand the woman. No, but it's gone. So the 2 boys were in their room, and I knew that Danny hadn't done it, but the Robert, I knocked on his door. Hey, can I come in? Yeah. And I saw it. I said, what are you doing with this? I was looking at it. Like, good grief. I had to make sure there wasn't sticky stuff in the pages. I said, this is... And then I heard him later on that evening saying things, and I said, hey, this discussion about sexual stuff with the other boy is going to stop. He was a predator. I had to lock up all the kitchen knives, the lighter for the stove. Had to sleep with our bedroom door open in case we heard pitter-patter of feet. One kid we had was little. The toilet is a 1-bath house. We had a bathroom in our bedroom in the master bedroom. It was a 1-bath for the kids. And the bathroom was right up against the master bedroom wall. So was the 2-way furnace vent. We're laying in bed. I heard the kid drop the toilet seat, shut the door, banging around in there like a moose. And the furnace was running, and all of a sudden I smelled the strong smell of piss. She goes, oh my gosh, what is that? I said, pee. I said, he peed in the vent, man. I said, look, the vent comes. I got up out of bed and I knocked on the door. I said, dude, what are you doing there? I'm going to the bathroom. I said, hurry up and get out, please. Come out. There was piss all over the wall and the floor. I said, what is this? And he gave a smirk. I don't know. I said, you know what it is. Why'd you pee in the vent? Because I thought it was funny. I said, well, guess what? I'm trying to go to sleep, but you're going to mop this up. I went and got the bucket, filled it up. I said, you need to clean up this. I said, you don't pee in the furnace vent. You pee in the toilet. I said, what's the matter with you? Now the whole house smells like pee-pee. The other kid came out of his bedroom. What's that smell? I said, it's urine. And he looked at the other kid. Man, why you pee in the... I'll tell you what, we live in a disturbed country. I love it when clowns come on my channel and say I got mental issues. Yeah, that's why I was hired to run a troubled respite home. That's why I drove school bus for 20 years in 4 states with no complaints. The only reason I got a termination from the last one is because I did a video on my time talking about racial issues and a white woman attacked and brutalized by 6 African Americans in Cincinnati, Ohio. That offended the school board, or not the board. The board didn't even know about my termination, I found out. Somebody at work didn't like me. So they used that to rock me out. And it's so funny. When I'm out there or I'm in my yard, buses go by and they're waving and honking at me. Man, I thought everybody was against me. Black women. Mike, where have you been? What do you mean, where have I been? I thought y'all. Somebody said you quit. I said, well, I got another job. I thought, well, if they don't know, I ain't going to say anything. I never should have been fired. I don't use the N-word. I'm not racist. I comment as much as I can on current events. I'm not going to get on my chat when I have chat open and discuss some of these things. I've got people that watch me and I respect them, but they're anti-Trump. And I'm not going to have this go around in a chat. As far as everything that's been released now, there's nothing that even, according to Wikipedia and other sources, and the FBI, that even links him to the island. Same was said about Biden. We all know Biden's weird, sniffing girls' hair. I remember you can pull an old broadcast where he's standing there, his hands on a girl right here. Who holds a young girl right here? Now, if I'm in with my girlfriend and she's sitting between my legs and we're in the mood, my hands are going to be right here. But on a elementary school girl, Biden's hands aren't on the shoulders. They're right here. Not one Democrat said, what are you doing? I guess the Democrats think that that's okay. Maybe if I get the presidency, I can grab my balls like Michael Jackson did every time I give a State of the Union address. Boy, they'd criticize that, wouldn't they? You ever notice that? Why do guys sit there like this? Sitting in a group of men, they got their hand clutching their sack. I've never understood that. I don't do that. I bring up all this for fun. That's thrown in for free. I think women today are wrecked. I have scar tissue. I think everybody's got it. People coming on my channel saying you need therapy and this and that are the ones that probably need it way more than I do. Projecting is such a popular sport in America. Just about everybody's involved in it. Win or lose. I come on here and I'm man enough to admit my flaws, my weaknesses, my everything. We live in a society of wolves waiting to plunge their fangs in sheep. Joel Osteen, Democrats, aggressive sexual offenders, gay or straight. They're wolves. They're looking for that vulnerable one that they can attack and take advantage of. The Democrats have been doing it for decades. Currying favor with the most ignorant of people groups out there to make sure they secure them to vote for them and keep their disgusting self in politics to continue to be corrupt. For most of us men today, I couldn't get a date with that one. I'm not talking what she is now. Since I've been to Augusta, I have not had any dates. That woman I told you about, blonde and good looking for her age, she's older than me and she still looks good. She'd rather use a man so she can continue to increase her bottom line And I ran into somebody at the flea market said, Mike, she's an SLUT. She's been cheating on him for forever. She wants everybody to pay for everything. How many times my heart has been led astray, believed in somebody only to find out, wow, I didn't think you were like that. There's something wrong in our current 2026. I could get a date with a married woman that's very attractive, easier than I could get a date with a single attractive woman. But let's clear that aside. I could get a date with a good looking man faster than I could get a date with a decent woman in America today. Is it because the problem resides with me? For the clown that comes on here for 5 minutes and goes through my shorts, well, you're dressed like a girl. For 59 years of my life, no. No, it's not. I'm not the problem. Something has shifted. That woman had an entourage of the who's who that got to partake in all kinds of Corinthian and Babylonian decadence. She's sitting in a prison. There are women that are rich and got money writing hardcore prisoners and ready to marry them when they come out. And they'll laugh and mock at me. This is 2026, folks. I do give women a chance. There's some I talk to. Nothing inappropriate. I'm not disrobing for them or haven't even had video chat with. But one, and she's not even there anymore. One from South Africa. Her and 2 other people playing games on the internet, and I banned them all. Clowns. It's ridiculous. And women in the churches today I won't date a man or fall in love with a man who masturbates. What if he never tells you he does? How are you going to know? Most men don't go out there and say, hi, I masturbate. How are you today? It's fun to be self-righteous. It's fun to erect a little castle wall in your mind and think that you're so pure and righteous and everybody else isn't. It's a fun little game to play. It's a boring one, but it's a fun one. Because now you can spiritually look down your nose at everybody else and think that you got it tight with God and nobody's as good as you. I think most women in America are absolutely boring. I believe, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I have said loudly, I will probably go out in a very hard, suffering way. And I've said that more out of a sense of my life has been hard. I'm not going to go out and just die in my sleep. I wish that I could, or the rapture. I do. I wish, even now, I wish I could go to sleep tonight and wake up in heaven. I won't have finished the house. I won't have rebought a deuce. I won't have realized another wife. But I'd rather leave because deep down inside, I know that, you know what? I'm always going to struggle with my own sin and darkness. And it's in every one of us, folks. It's just that if you're filthy and rich, you can do this stuff. You can participate in this stuff, and you got a privilege card. And I've learned on YouTube, I never thought I'd get up to 10,000 plus subs. I thank you all for that. But there's just like Elijah. He went up on Mount Carmel. I think it was Mount Carmel, and took on the Baal worshipers. And God showed up. That'd be a pretty strong faith enriching thing, wouldn't it? Instead of going to church singing 7-Eleven courses all day, you got to see the Shekinah glory of God come down and consume the sacrifice. I would love to have seen that. I think I would have dropped down on my knees and said, whoa, okay, now that was a trip. We have so many boring Christians. I like Elijah. He was a man of action. But Jezebel threatened. He put to the sword all those that had bowed to Baal. And Jezebel threatened, may his life be like one of them. And he fled into the wilderness, into the desert, running. Exhausted, he fell asleep. An angel woke him and said, here, eat, your journey is long. And he went in the strength of that food 40 days. And he went up onto the mountain. There was a great earthquake, and there was fire, and all these different things. Then a still small voice, and he wrapped his mantle around his face. God told him, there are 7,000 who have not bowed their knee to Baal. Elijah thought he was the only one. That's why the church and Christians need each other. We're in a battle. It's heating up and it's getting worse. These clowns in Washington don't get away with nothing before the Almighty. It's just sad. We tend to have a superstitious view of God, and it goes like this. That if people live wickedly, that God will deal with them right now. No, he won't. Hitler, Mussolini, people had years and years of slaughtering and killing people, and God didn't step in and interrupt the program. And that's where we struggle. That's why atheists claim they got an argument against God. If God is good and he's there, why does he allow all this? Because man's sin, that's why. Even in the millennial reign of Jesus Christ, only believers will go in the millennial reign. All those who reject God, that survive the 7-year time of Jacob's trouble, the tribulation, they'll be wiped out in Armageddon. All of them. The blood will flow as high as the horses' bridles for 200 miles. How do you get that much blood? Whatever's left out of all the judgments will be brought into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Just like the old American hymn. The Bible says, who is this that comes from Bozrah, his garments stained with red? He's trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed his fateful white lightning and his terrible swift sword. Armageddon is going to be a bloody, ugly, nasty mess. But during the millennial reign, when Christ sits on the throne in Jerusalem, he will have mandates. If you do not come up and worship me, you will not get any rain, Egypt. There will be no harm. The wolf will lay with the lamb. The infant will play by a snake hole. No more danger. It's a society at peace with God. That's what it says. Look it up if you don't believe me. at the end of the tribulation, the millennium, something happens. And people are like, why? I don't understand. God was reigning. Oh, well, hold on. Bear with me. We're going to talk about it. 6:19. Where does the time go? And when the 1,000 years are completed, Satan will be released from his prison. He'll be bound up for 1,000 years. Watch this, people. Learn basic theology right now. Learn this. People say the devil made me do it. Lie. Devil don't make you do nothing. Satan will be released from his prison after 1,000 years and will come out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for the war. This is not the same Gog and Magog listed out in Ezekiel 38 and 39. This is different. To gather them together for the war, the number of them is like the sand of the seashore. And they came up on the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, and the fire came down from heaven and devoured them. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are also, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. So what happened? You have the millennial reign of Christ. Everything's going hunky-dory, right? So these people who got saved during the tribulation that physically survived the tribulation, because God says many of them will be protected. They're going to go and populate the millennium. They'll have children. And they'll tell their children about God. And there will be expectations from Jerusalem. Men and women are easily controlled, and you can get them to be robotic. Go to church, say this prayer, do this. Rote ritualism. We all do it. I get up, I go to work. I get my bill, I pay my bill. I balance my account. I do this, I do that. I pay my taxes. But even with God present, the King of righteousness ruling, no president, no corrupt politicians, God Almighty rules the earth. You still have to make a heart decision inside. You can outwardly do the right things. That's what the whole suit and tie and act professional is about. It's a lie. The 1,000-year millennium proves again theologically, you can put the devil away for 1,000 years. We have a carnal, sinful nature. We can find sin all by ourselves. And all those kids are born, become adults, 1,000 years. A lot of children are going to be born, and they have children, and then they're just inside. They haven't been converted to the truth and saving knowledge of Christ. And the devil will be deceived, come out and get them to all march up against the Almighty again. History does repeat itself because people are stupid. That's why, Christian, stop beating yourself up. Stop going to churches where they're beating you up. We need to strive. We need to put away. We need to do these things, but it's not easy. Some of us will not be fully delivered from our sinful deeds until we are in the presence of the living God. The Bible says that we've been crucified with Christ. It says, do not let sin reign in your mortal body. Sometimes I let it reign in my head. I like lust. I like looking at beautiful women. I never get enough of it. And it has to do with, I was exposed to it as a kid. I've been married to women. They were difficult. I left them all. And in my mind now, I realize marriage may not be in the best interest for me, even though I'd like to have somebody. I'd like to have a woman that I can really feel is bone of bone, flesh of flesh. And that's part of the problem. I didn't choose that. I believe that there is a woman that could really be good for me and I for her. Who she is, I have no idea. And I'm not going to be held hostage by women because I'm not morally pure in my mind. I'm not, that's none of your business, lady. I have to tell myself every day, no matter what happens, God promised to take care of me. He promised he will never leave me nor forsake me. All I need to do is look at 59 years of my life, and he's proved himself over and over and over. But the devil causes us to doubt, says to deceive. Be not deceived, Christian. You may struggle, but God said he'll never leave you. If you're not a Christian, he ain't in you. We're living in stupid times. The ungodly clowns that have the money and have the means to hide and get immunity, they're not going to be able to do that when they stand before the Almighty. These people that are living it up, living the good life, the Cardi B, the Nicki Minaj, if they don't know the Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior, they will spend eternity in hell. Martha Stewart, Oprah Winfrey, all of them. You're either saved or you're lost. You're either righteous or you're unrighteous. You're either of the redeemed or you're of the damned. That's it. That's it. There's no middle ground. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, male or female, king or serf. You are lost or you are saved. There is only two classifications of people. Only people of the world system like to make lines of demarcation. And you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're Democrat, you're Republican. No, you're saved or you're lost. That's it. There really is not that many people groups. There's only two. Saved or lost. And when you're lost, there's behavior that goes with it. If you're a Christian, you may be tempted to do what the Epsteins did, but the Holy Spirit says, no. But if you don't have the Holy Spirit, you don't hear that. And yes, even Christians can participate in the fruitless deeds of darkness. I know, I have. It's called sin. It's so easy to have sex before marriage because it's so allowed and tolerated. And God is very serious about that. God is very serious about that. We're not. We're not. We trivialize things. And women, they dangle themselves in front of us, making it more easy to just FWB. Who wants to get married and be in the struggle of drama and moodiness when you can just relieve each other for a night and go on about your business? Or better yet, how about me living in a town that's as dark as all get out? I don't have a close friend here. I mean, I have some acquaintances. I've got some people that check on me, but I mean close where we hang out and do things. No men friends at all. The men out here, oh gosh, no. So it's easy to drown myself in a fantasy world. To look at all the women on the internet I cannot have. I know that they're not into me. But I've adopted the easy way to say, hey, She's putting herself out there. Thanks for letting me at least enjoy your body and looking at it. When you don't get your needs met, you'll find a surrogate. That's why people join gangs. That's why people join cults. That's why men look at porn. Nobody wants to talk about that part. They just want to read scripture to you and condemn you. Bible says it's not good for man to live alone. Women are enabling us to live alone, telling us we're not worthy of them. What's a man left to do? Well, you're supposed to crucify your desires for Jesus. Just like that. Just flip the circuit breaker and voila! Frosted Lucky Charms, you're magically self-righteous. It does not work that way. And I admit, in my flesh, before you, my audience, I'm sick and tired of fighting. I'm sick of it. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't chew, and I don't date girls that do. But if I want to rub one out, because there's no hangover, there's no withdrawal, there's no headaches, there's no drugs, and it says right in there, there's videos by female and male doctors saying that masturbation prevents prostate. Oh, okay, well, now don't worry about that one. I'm not going to listen to any women about sexual purity. Will not sit at the feet of any woman beating me up on sexual purity. Bye, Felicia. Bye-bye. You don't know us men, you don't understand us, and you are and have been part of the problem. You dress provocatively, you tease us, you lead us on, you play games because you want attention, and you go, well, bye-bye. I'm tired of it. Now, I'm not going to go to men that are married to hot-looking women saying, well, you need to get control of your lust. And you got a wife to relieve yourself. Shut up. Shut up. I have to go to God. And I'm an open book before him. I say, God, my mind is a moral cesspool. You know it. I know it. Thank you for saving me. Thank you that you still meet my needs. Thank you that you don't treat me as my sins deserve. Thank you that you're not done with me. And I will say this. I'm not bragging. And maybe I am boasting a little. But I'm trying to, man, I got something stuck in there. Sorry. There. I need to be able to breathe through those two teeth. I used to sit there. I was in the jacuzzi when I was a kid. My sister had graduated high school. It was San Jose. We were in my aunt and uncle's pool and jacuzzi. And these two teeth right here, I used to get a mouthful of water. And I'd sit there and I'd squirt it through that tooth, going about 20 feet. And my sister was very well endowed. No, I wasn't attracted to her. I never did like my older sister. And the cleavage was all showing, and I aimed right in between and shot a stream of water straight. And she's like, where's that water? Oh my gosh, quit it. I'm laughing. My cousin's going, man, you shot her right between the boobs. I said, exactly. I just sat there and went, yes, that is in me. Those were good days. Getting revenge on my sister in a way that's not harmful to anybody. I will never be able to be worthy enough for any woman, and no woman will ever be worthy enough to me, because you know why? If we put ourselves, if we're little deities, well, then what's the point? We're not worthy of God's grace. Not even the hottest, prettiest woman that thinks she's all that in a bag of chips is worthy of God's grace. Remember that, men. Unless she has scented poop, stop believing the crap. Stop believing the crap. Women are just as sinful and decadent and atrocious and morally destitute as we are. Stop pedestalizing women. They got these. Well, I got them too. They're just not the same as a woman's. So stupid. Always tell yourself the truth from God's perspective. We don't elevate a woman above men. We don't elevate a man above a woman. There is neither male nor female, rich or poor, Jew or Gentile, black or white, but you are all one in Christ Jesus. You want to end racism? You want to end Democrat mental disorders? You want to end economic disparity and looking down? Get in Christ and read his word. The ground is level at the cross. The hottest woman stinks when she sits on the toilet. The hottest woman is a sinner in God's eyes. God doesn't look at her and say, wow, nice tots, babe. He doesn't. He is not attracted sexually to anybody. God doesn't Humpty Dumpty. The Mormons teach that Mary and God had a sexual liaison. That's a lie. The Mormon church is a bastardized religion. So is Jehovah's Witness. So is the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is an abomination, calling the Pope infallible. Excuse me, there's only one without sin, and it ain't no Pope. The Pope poops, and it stinks, and it ain't scented. There's only one, Christ Jesus. It is he. Get out of these false churches. Get out of these churches that beat you up and make you feel like slime. I'm going to these churches that tickle your ears, though, also. Find a balanced church. Smaller ones are usually better than the big, giant Walmart ones. Just saying, I've been to both. If you see a church with a lot of very attractive women, don't go to it. Good-looking women aren't generally attracted to the truth. They're attracted to all those churches that twist it. I'm just saying, I've noticed in 59 years, where all the hot chicks are going, something ain't right over there. But preachers in America better stop just beating up on the men and start beating up on the women. You declare the whole count's God. Start talking to women about their attitudes. Start talking to women about their BS, because they dish out just as much as men do. I'm so tired of women sitting in any break room about men this, men that. Shut up, girl. I look at you and where you are. Who wants to date you now? You're burnout, you're wrecked, your Amtrak train that went over the cliff in the Mississippi under the water, and there's mold and swamp ASS in there and everything else. Stop believing that you're all that on a stick. We're all sinners equally. I believe in the value of a woman. I believe in the value of a man. And we're not supposed to be in competition with each other. There are women who lead men into sin and men who lead women into sin. I don't know why some women think because they got looks that they got privilege and that they're better than everybody. Yeah, we'll see how that works out when you run through the red light and you get into a paralyzed from the neck on down the wheelchair. See how many guys want to hubba you now, baby. Always have some perspective. You're riding the wave today. That wave could break over a coral reef and you're done. No boasting in your temporal stuff. Don't do it. I've been blessed to have health. I've been blessed to have, I feel, good looks, but so what? I've suffered abuse and bullying and teasing and laughter. I never got to realize it until it's too late. I thought I was a nobody and a nothing. The devil really does do a lot of destruction, doesn't he? And those of us that have been married and divorced, we know better. We know there's no such thing as perfection. That's a lie. So stop looking for it. Stop looking for it. It's okay to have standards, but let's be real here. If you think you're perfect and you're looking for a perfect man, as soon as that perfect man gets involved with you, he's going to see that you're not perfect. If you ever notice in Africa in the Serengeti, love National Geographic, and you see the giraffes over here and the elephants, the zebras, the gazelles, the impalas, the wildebeests, the lions and the tigers and all the different animals are in their groups. Everything is fine until somebody's hungry. Then animals are running in all directions. Always remember that. Everything's fine until somebody's hungry. Her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand, just like that river going through a dusty land. Folks, I've not arrived, and neither have you. How do I know that? Because you woke up today on planet Earth. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Good song by Duran Duran. It's Friday. What are we going to talk about tonight if I'm here? I can't make any guarantees. God could say, final curtain call. Train could roll into the station. Mike Nelson boarding. If I had to go out by technology, I'd love to go on an old steamship. Good evening, Mr. Nelson. We've been waiting for you. We've got a lovely stateroom for you, and dinner tonight is going to be absolutely the best you've ever had. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Here, hold on. Here's my ticket. You don't need one. Your ticket's already been purchased, Mr. Nelson. Enter. One day, I'm going to leave, and all my BS is over. My struggle with my own self and everything else out there will be done. That should be the engine that drives us Christians. We struggle with our flesh, and that flesh rises up every day going, aha! You got to deal with it. Shut up. No. Every day. Every single day. It don't sleep. It don't slumber. It don't take a sabbatical, a vacation. It don't retire. That dumb thing between my legs is responsible for more stupid behavior than anything else. It's amazing how that works. Guys, don't lose your mind over a damn female. That's just stupid. Admit it, she's cute. But don't bite down on the hook. That's why now I take the time to have some interaction and say, could this be a potential? Or are we just friends? It's okay to have female friends if you're not married. It's okay. Not everything has to be a bad romance. Lady Gaga ought to know about bad romance. She's a train wreck and it works. Not a bad looking lady. Madonna and Lady Gaga are very similar. They're both beautiful. Can you imagine being married to those two? What a mess. They're off the wall. Bizarre. And they got there because they can, because they're entitled, and society worships them. That's why these women and stars are so morally bankrupt. They think they're gods and goddesses and divas. God said, I will share my glory with no other. And Hollywood, they're a temple unto themselves. Beverly 90210, I wouldn't live anywhere near there. I'd rather live in Casiguran in a remote part of the Philippines and have a neat, cool, mahogany beamed raftered house that's built solid and see the jungle foliage and the banana trees and look out from a rampart over the ocean. You can have Malibu. I grew up in California, and there's something weird about the state. Knowing the San Andreas is there, you can just tell when you go through California, it's been through something cataclysmic geographically. And knowing that at any time could unleash itself. I find it interesting that the most decadent people gravitate towards that spot. Downtown LA, they have the La Brea tar pits. They've pulled saber-toothed tigers out of there, encased in oil, preserved. California's a reminder. Your little house on the ocean, that state went through some upheaval once. A Noahic flood, tar pits, earthquakes, fault line folded over, compressed rock, twisted and gnarled. And they all gravitate towards a place where judgment could hit right now. Thank you for listening, people. This is the one and only Michael Nelson. People attack me, they mock me, they laugh at me. But if people are encouraged and people are growing closer to God and people are not committing suicide and people are reading their Bible and going to church, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Till next time, be safe.